Iowa lets another double-digit lead fall away in the second half as they fall to USC 26-21. Frustrating. Rapid reaction here, locked on Hawkeyes. And where does Iowa go from here as the frustrations mount in Iowa football?
You are Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome in. I'm Trent Condon, and this is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast, your daily Iowa Hawkeye podcast, coming to you on the road today as we're up in Jefferson at Wild Rose Casino. Had a meet and greet with Dallas Clark today, and that's why we are out here today with a rapid reaction. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. I've been covering the Hawkeyes for over 2 decades and following the team for all 45 years on this earth. And this one will go down as one of the more frustrating games, not just of the Kirk Ferentz era, certainly in my history of watching Iowa football. Up double digits at the half, 21-10. We jumped on during halftime and talked a little bit about it, and you did have that feeling at the half that Iowa should have been up more. They played almost a perfect first half outside of the second drive when they went 3 and out. And looking up at the scoreboard, knowing obviously how good this USC offense is and how talented those wide receivers are, 21-10, and felt like it should have been more. We go back to what happened in the first half of the game, starting with the drive that take the lead right away. They come out passing. They're making plays down the field. Jacob Gill up the sideline. The 4th down pass to Dayton Howard as Iowa jumps out. Then Mark Gronowski with a quarterback sneak to get in. The Iowa special to make it 21-7 at the time. And it just, everything was going well, but we talked about it at the time. And the inability for Iowa in late half situations to get things figured out, it's inexplicable. Iowa at the end of the first half has an opportunity to put points on the board, and they just can't. You got timeouts in the pocket, the mismanagement of the clock, you're hustling the line, use a timeout there. It's just the simple little things that for whatever reason have been incredibly difficult for Kirk Ferentz during his tenure as the head coach. Why they have so many issues with clock management is absolutely befuddling. Yet here we are in a game that ends up being a 5-point game. And if you get a field goal there, well, you don't have to go for it on 4th down. A field goal could win the game depending on the way it plays out. And we know it's not going to play out in the same fashion. But regardless, these are the frustrations that continue to mount with Iowa football. This is a good football team. This is a football team that certainly I think has exceeded some expectations coming into the year and how well they played in these ranked games. But playing well isn't what it's about. It's about winning football games, and they can't figure it out. This one, certainly more frustrating than what we saw, I think, a week ago against Oregon. Now, I was making fun of the Oregon fans for still whining a week later about the calls in that one. Officiating was awful in this one. A couple of calls, one of the biggest ones maybe was the missed face mask on Kamari Molton as he's running. And a play later, an interception by Mark Gronowski after a tip pass. Gronowski struggled again throwing the football. And the amount of plays that he left on the field makes you wonder. They got receivers there. We continually harp on the inability of these wide receivers to get separation, to be able to make plays. There were guys open. Mark Gronowski missed them. Mark Gronowski, for as good as he is as a runner, has limitations in the passing game. And you wonder as we start to look to the future, and that's what it is now. Because best case scenario, this team finishes 8-4 and goes to Tampa, goes to Vegas, goes to some bowl game. We'll see how many people opt out. But that is the reality of this. Gronowski as a passer, this isn't good enough. And is there more of this offense when you look to the future and whoever that next quarterback may be? Hank Brown going to be fighting, obviously, with Jeremy Hecklinski, the Wake Forest transfer, who has supplanted him now as the number 2 currently. But they're going into the spring. And if both those guys stick around, they're going to duel it out to see who's going to be the starter next season, as long as Iowa doesn't go into the portal again. But that's down the road. We'll have plenty of time for that. Back to the game. And a look at the second half. So Iowa goes first possession, 5 plays, 25 yards. Second possession, 4 plays, 19 yards, interception. 3 and out. And then turnover on downs after finally moving the ball, 10 plays, 61 yards. And Gabe Weechin, a shoe size down away from making an incredible play on the sideline. Then late in the game, so we never got to see what the personal foul was against Iowa. I'm sure there was, but you do wonder just a little bit with what we saw in this officiating crew. Look, blaming the officials is for losers. And for your everyday listeners, you know it's something that I do not like to harp on. Iowa got some calls that went their way too. Deshaun Lee in the end zone easily could have been pass interference. So we're just going to leave that to the side. Close. But we're past the time that close is good enough. It's time to break through. It's time to get wins. And I was not able to get the wins at this time for a myriad of different reasons. The defense in the second half was awful. And though guys were mostly in the defensive backfield in the right spot, they just couldn't make plays. Didn't get their head turned. Couldn't see the ball. And what are the touchdowns to Lemon? They had 2 guys right there. 2 guys that were where you're supposed to be in coverage. And neither of them could find the football. But that's what you have. You go through and you look at this football game. From up 14-0, you get outscored 26-7 the rest of the way. Everything's going right early. And then what happened? Now, there is a reason. Excuse, call it what you will. However, when you're down 3 offensive line starters, it becomes difficult. You know, Iowa got to, what was it, about the 35-yard line. Still, there was 4 minutes or so left in the game, a little bit more than 4 minutes. And I know a lot of people just wanted to see Iowa go out there and just pound the football. That's tough to do when you're losing both your guards. Early in the game, Bo Stevens went out, as he has a few times already this season. Yeah, that part of it. Then you lose Cade Pieper, and then you lose Jennings Dunker, maybe your best offensive lineman. So you're down to 3 backups on the offensive line. It's not as easy to just line up and play bully ball and try to salt it away and score, in the final minute of the game. And we saw that because Iowa tried it, and it didn't work. Makai Lemon, that dude's a stud. 10 catches, 153 yards. Felt like he had 350. Dude was all over the place. Lane also really good. They got dudes. That's no surprise. But when you're up 21-7, when you're leading by double digits at the half, you don't expect it to go the fashion that it did. Another what if. Mark Gronowski finishes 12-19, 132 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Vanderzee 1 for 1 with that touchdown pass to Gronowski. DJ Vonnahme, that kid's going to be good. And we saw it again. He leads the team with 4 catches, 59 yards. Both led the team in that category. 3 catches for Weechin, and what could have been so close on the sideline. Jacob Gill, just the 1 catch on that first possession when he went up the sideline for 44 yards. 1 catch for Vanderzee, 1 for Ortworth, 1 for Howard, a touchdown that capped off that opening drive, and Molton for 1 catch with 1 yard. 15 carries, 90 yards. That's Kamari Molton, what he did on the ground. 8 carries, 37 yards for Jazzion Patterson. I anticipated coming into this game we were going to see a little bit more Patterson, and we did. Weechin had that big run on the reverse that as Iowa was looking to march down the field and potentially take the lead late in the football game. Xavier Williams just won and nearly a catch on that deflected ball. What if? That's what we're playing with this team. And that's where we are at this point in time. All right, let's get into some of the comments that are coming in here as we're coming to you live on YouTube. Again, live from Wild Rose in Jefferson. Great place to come if you're looking for a place to watch the game. Always a good time out here at Wild Rose Jefferson. Let's see. 2D might be the biggest meltdown I've ever seen from a Kirk team. Can't believe what I just witnessed. That was a meltdown. And even with the meltdown, the opportunities that were there, frustrating. Tyler, Captain Clueless needs fired. What an idiot coach he has turned into. I can't get there, but I understand your frustrations. Cole says, how do we not know that when a quarterback gets in his rhythm against us, you have to send pressure? Great point. And that's something that was befuddling until late in the game when they finally applied some pressure. Watson got hit with the pass interference call. That was iffy at best. You saw the wide receiver. I mean, he had his arms wrapped around Watson. Still hand fighting. It's normally going to go against the defensive player. Wampa was perfect on that blitz. Miami just chucked it up there. But before that, they were just sitting back. And before that drive, what was it? 4 consecutive drives. I think they finished 5 straight drives that ended in a score for USC. And they're just sitting back. Like, I get it. This team has a lot of guys, right? Yeah, it was 5 straight. So after the turnover on downs, when Iowa got the 4th down stop on the second possession in the first half, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, touchdown. And the amount of pressure that was being applied by Iowa was minimal. Now, the only reason that I was able to hang with Indiana is because of the pressure that they brought. I get it. You don't want to put Makai Lemon in space alone. I understand. But guess what? You had a couple of guys there, and it didn't matter either. That one is definitely head-scratching. Good point there from Cole. He also continues, how do we not understand that? How can we let them pass the ball on us like that? Yeah, absolutely, Cole. Tyler checking in. Tyler says, Kirk went full idiot turtle mode and was hoping the D would win the game. That's the other part. You know, we've grown so accustomed to the defense bailing out Iowa in these kind of games throughout the last 27 years. It's just not happening anymore. And not just this season, last couple of seasons. The defense has not been able to get the requisite stops to win these games. There's times where you feel more comfortable with the offense than the defense, in late game situations, which is just incredible. I can't wrap my mind around that one. Hawks win again. Well, not this one. That's his the handle on YouTube. Wife asked me earlier, who is our next quarterback? I think it's going to be Hecklinski. The reason for that is Hecklinski, more of a runner, guy that can do more with his leg. Now he's little. I mean, he's listed at 5'11". If he's 5'11", then I'm 5'11". He's not 5'11", and I'm not 5'11". But regardless, I mean, short quarterbacks can get by. That's not a huge deal. Sometimes you got to move the pocket a little bit more. It can distress what you're doing a little bit in the RPO game, but that's gone away. And where's the slow mesh? Where are the things that we saw at least a little bit at the beginning of the season? Those have completely been taken out of the playbook, and those are a little bit more difficult with a shorter quarterback still. I'm feeling okay at minimum about that. Refs are 100% in USC's pocket. Even then, the coaches are terrible. All right, Tyler. Not sure Iowa wins another game this season. Tyler, Michigan State's terrible. Michigan State's brutal. I think they're going to be fine next week. And Nebraska, we'll see. Their backup quarterback came in, played well last week against UCLA. We'll see about that one. They got a road trip on top of it, Nebraska does, before the Iowa-Nebraska game, as they have to go out to USC. Think they're going to be fine. Think they're going to win some more. Tyler, sorry, Gronk as a passer is a joke. Yeah, we talked about that. He's not good enough as a thrower. For this offense to take the step forward that we anticipated this year, he's been dynamic. He's been better, I think, than anybody could have anticipated as a runner. But as a passer, yeah, there are definitely holes. Michael Wright, Kirk can't win against ranked teams anymore. His legacy is sad. Not going to be there. Look, go back to the end of Hayden. Do you remember the 3-8 at the end? Do you remember, 97 with the preseason expectations and then falling on their face like they did? Or do you remember the good times? We'll remember the good times. And this is not nearly as frustrating as the end was during Hayden Fry. Can't get there with you. Bobby Hansen. The Bobby Hansen or a Bobby Hansen? We're top 15 in defense and special teams. I would disagree on special teams. Reese Dakin, terrible. I had opportunity to pin him inside the 10, couldn't do it. Reese Dakin has been a huge disappointment this year. He's taken a major step back from, I didn't think that good of a freshman campaign. And I understand. We're not going to have probably another Tory Taylor. If it is, it's going to be decades down the line. I mean, Reggie Roby, Jason Hansen was good. We've had good punters. Tory Taylor was another level. Reese Dakin, though, not good. And we've had issues all season long with the kicking team, with snaps. Can't say that the special teams are at a high level. 8-4 is Kirk's ceiling in the new 18-team Big Ten Conference. People need to realize we're not going to make the 12-team playoff until he's gone. See, Bobby, I can't go with you there. I just can't. This team being this close, they're a whisker away. And yeah, they're not there. You are what your record says you are, but I don't think that a coaching change is suddenly going to make Iowa a college football playoff contender year in, year out. Where was the blitz, Cole? Yeah, just talked about that one. Absolutely. Their passing game was in rhythm. Yeah, you disrupt it. No doubt about that one. I think you have that one exactly right. Time to have a talk about our defensive line and the non-existent pressure on the quarterback right there with you. This has been an issue all season long from D2. This is something that has continually been an issue for this team. And this is another one that's been the last couple of years. Not sure what the reason is. Is it you don't have the athleticism on the outside? Now, Herkett, Llewellyn, neither of those guys, I don't think are going to be considered elite speedsters off the edge. Can you get that with the Brian Allen? Can you get that with the Kenneth Merriweather or down the line, some of the young guys, Joseph Anderson in the wings, potentially? First quarter, a thing of beauty. It was, Sarah. Oh, we'll always remember the first quarter. No blitzes, Timothy Maley, and the no face mask call. That one's going to linger for a while, no doubt about it. Defense, not the problem. It's not bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying the defense is bad. But, yeah. Disagree, Bobby's not the problem. All right, we got some back and forth going on here. We continue on the comments here in a rapid reaction podcast, Locked On Hawkeyes. Let's see what else we got. Refs got USC back in the game. Told you I don't like to complain about officials, but I'm not going to disagree with you, Mitchell. Another one from Mitchell, 30 holding calls on USC. Yeah, it felt that way, didn't it? Just every time you looked, you see a guy getting pulled, yanked. Here we are, frustrated. And that is the reality of what we're living with. Guys, it's time to wrap this one up. We will go back tomorrow night, watch this one again, and we'll have a full breakdown of everything, the way it went. I am going to be keeping an eye on. I think I'm going to be keeping a tally on some of those hold calls that you guys are talking about. We're going to get into that a little bit more in the full Rapid Reaction podcast. That's not as rapid. The Sunday recap that we'll have for you Sunday evening into Monday morning. That'll be in your feeds and your drive-in on Monday. Thanks for being with us and making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We are your daily Iowa Hawkeye podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit subscribe. If you're on the podcast side, 5-star reviews, all of that helps us get in front of more Hawkeye fans. The Locked On Network, we are now #1 for podcasts, and a big thank you to all of you for making that possible. Frustrating, disappointing. Here we are. We'll talk to you again on Monday. Until then, go Hawks.